We're doing a transmission filter change along with a drain and fill of the fluid on this 2011 Toyota RAV4. This vehicle has 176,000 miles, and I don't believe the transmission has ever been serviced, changed, or flushed by looking at the fluid. First, we need to jack up the car. The jack point is located right here. However, I'm using ramps because I'm tired of dragging out my heavy floor jack. When using jack stands, it's wise to use a board to protect the pinch welds, like this. Remove the plastic cover on the underside of the car. There are 8 10mm bolts and a few clips on the back. Have a pan ready to catch the transmission fluid. Use a 10mm hex socket to remove the transmission plug. Let it drain completely and replace the plug. Use a 17mm socket to remove the 4 bolts so we can remove this bar that will allow us to access all the transmission pan bolts. Use a 10mm socket to carefully remove the pan bolts. I do not want to strip these out, so I'm taking my time. Now remove the 3 10mm bolts that hold on the filter. Make sure the rubber seal is not seated up in this hole. Mine actually fell down into the oil pan. The new filter comes with a new seal. Use some transmission fluid to lube up the new seal and seat it on the new filter. Install the new filter and replace the 3 10mm bolts until they are snug. Remove the old gasket. Clean the pan thoroughly with brake cleaner. There are 2 magnets on the bottom of the pan that collect any magnetic debris. Clean these as well. Make sure the pan is nice and clean before laying on the gasket. Here I'm wiping down all my pan bolts to make sure they are free of debris and go back in with ease. Place the bolts through the pan and gasket before putting the pan back on. Use blue Loctite on all the pan bolts. Before replacing the pan, make sure the surface is clean of transmission fluid or any scum. When replacing the pan, use as little force as possible to avoid stripping any of the bolts. I took my time again because I do not want to strip these bolts out or over tighten them. Torque the bolts to 67 inch-pounds or 5.5 foot-pounds. Torque the drain plug with a 10mm hex socket to 35 foot-pounds. Replace the bar with the 4 17mm bolts. The longer bolts go in the front. Refilling the transmission fluid calls for Toyota ATF WS transmission fluid. This is a highly debatable subject, but after my research, I'm using Valvoline Max Life Full Synthetic Automatic Transmission Fluid, which states it is compatible, and some say it's even better. The cheapest prices for this is at Walmart. I started by adding 4 quarts before turning on the car. To measure transmission fluid correctly, the car needs to be at operating temperatures. Start the car and let it warm up. Shift through every single gear with your foot on the brake for about 20 seconds in each gear. Once the car is up to operating temp, check the transmission fluid. Add additional fluid to get the levels to spec. I ended up using 4.5 quarts on my 2011 3.5 with a 5-speed transmission.